Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is On Stuff with Jeff, where I'm Jeff and I talk about my stuff. It's been a while. I hope everyone's doing okay. I actually today I got my vaccine. I got Moderna. I don't know what anybody out there has got theirs. Doesn't really matter, I suppose, as long as you get your vaccine. Um, if you've noticed the T-shirt I've got on, you might have an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. There's been some Robotech Macross news last week. Big West, Tatsunoko, and Harmony Gold signed a deal finally after what, more than 20 years or so. So now that allows Macross, like original Macross stuff, after 1987 to be legally available outside of Japan. So that's good news. I mean, it's before, the stuff before 87. I don't know how people outside Japan are going to get access to that. I mean, I imported some. Like, actually, that's part of what I'm going to be talking about. My Robotech Macross collection right over here. Um, yeah, I got into Macross. I saw a few episodes. Maybe I watched 10 or so episodes before the show was just basically they stopped broadcasting the show. I watched it on CHCH out of Hamilton, a TV channel. Used to be an independent, but they as what's been happening a lot in Canada. Local media producers get bought out by one of a very small number of huge media companies in Canada, and they shut down local production, starting with the news. A lot of journalists basically out of a job, and anyway, I that's a whole other show, and I don't know if I'm going to be talking politics or stuff like that on. I don't know if I'll be doing that as a dedicated broadcast on this channel, but who knows? I don't know. It's pretty important, but I've tried to keep things, very casual and like upbeat. Um, so I was only able to catch, a dozen or so episodes. And I thought, wow, this is really cool because a lot of my friends at the time, although they were watching like Transformers and He-Man and She-Ra. Well, maybe not. I don't know if She-Ra was on at that point, and I wasn't into that. But with Robotech, I kind of felt like certainly in comparison to what was animated at the time in North America. Um, it was a lot more. It felt more serious. The characters were a little bit. The characters were more interesting. Things that stayed, happened. They don't. It's not like episodal, like a generic episode of television where something happens and the next episode is like everything starts from the beginning again. And bad things happen to the good guys. So I felt, well, hey, this is like grown up stuff. Of course, I was 17 when I first saw it, so limited experience, I guess. But it was the first time I seen something like that. I remember watching as a much when I was still living in Nova Scotia. I think there was an episode of uh, Albator. Albator was the Canada France co reproduction of the Captain Harlock space pirate Captain Harlock series, but I only caught one episode of it because we couldn't really, get a signal. We were out in Nova Scotia where we lived. We didn't have cable, so we could only get what we could get from the antenna on the television. And sometimes on clear winter nights, we could get a signal from all the way in Montreal, which was like 600 kilometers, 500, I don't know, a long way away, probably, maybe a 12-hour drive, maybe 8 to 10 hour drive. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, Robotech kind of just drew my interest. It kind of gave me that kind of the same feel that I got from Star Wars, because back then I wasn't so much into Star Trek as Star Wars still had that sense of adventure and story, and there were things at stake and characters that you were interested in and cared about. So when I saw this on the bookshelves at one of my local bookstores, I had to get it. And so most of what I learned, most of my, it would be, I think I finished almost the entire series before I saw another episode of Robotech on television again. So pretty much my entire experience of Robotech was through the novelizations, written by Jack McKinney. Jack McKinney was actually two guys that wrote the series together. Some of the stuff was they squeezed in some original ideas that weren't actually in. Sometimes they held to the dialogue a little bit too much, because sometimes the dialogue was really little silly. I remember there was actually some local guys from the GT from I can't remember if it was somewhere in Ontario, maybe Montreal. Maybe they were in Montreal, I don't know, or Sherbrooke or something. But they came up with this magazine called Protoculture Addicts. Unfortunately, I don't have any of them here. I don't know where they are. I know I didn't sell them or throw them away, but they're somewhere in my house. But they had, in reference to the really iffy dialogue, they would have a section in the magazine where it would list the number of that somebody would say during an episode. So that was kind of funny. One of those things. It's like some heavy metal indie magazines will have little things like they'll have a list of really bad covers or terrible song names or stuff like that. Well, anyway, this was the first one. Here, I might as well go through them all. There you go. You see, you got a little Mars action, Chirons in the background, crazy Chiron. I like what they did with Chiron in the books. You don't really get a sense. He was always chewing on dried flower of life, so he's kind of like addicted, made him a little to protoculture in that way, and made him a little crazy. Here's of course good old Roy. Big hero, one of the big, one of the most important characters in the Macross saga, also in Macross, the Macross. Here's Battle Hymn. You got a nice, beautiful shot of Britai and Miria in the background there. Though obviously the focus is more on Britai, which I thought was a cool. And again, I like the way the characters were a little bit better defined in the books. So maybe I can forgive some of the goofiness of the TV show. And here we go. Here's nearing the end, the big climactic battle. There's a Captain Global, or in the original Macross they call him Global. And here's that one, the last one of the original Macross series. There's Rick and Lisa, or Misa and Hikaru. It's funny, I couldn't find the picture, but I had a actually I'll probably get to it when I get to one of the other things. And I have these in order of how I actually had planned to reread the entire series, but I never got around to it. Here's this one came out much later, after I think this came out. This was Zentradi Rebellion. I think this came out maybe before Sentinels came out. I don't remember, but it was a while ago. Anyway, this is about after the Zentradi problem. Zentradi running around on Earth, on a mostly destroyed Earth, with nothing to do. And then here is the Sentinel series. This was the largely unproduced sequel to Robotech. It told the story of, well, basically the end of, spoilers, at the end of the Macross saga of Robotech. The surviving crew, and again, that's the other thing about the series, almost everybody dies. Okay, sorry, there you go. And so they build another ship, and they plan to go and find these Robotech masters that the Zentradi in Robotech, not in Macross, said that they worked for. So this series is about what happens when they go there, because in the Robotech timeline, they take off and are never seen from again, before, like until the end of the original TV series. So this is what they got up to, and here's the first one. Basically, it's about what's happened, like a big, I think, rebellion on Tyrol, and the SCF-3 arrives. This is, of course, the second one. I like the art on that one. There's Admiral Rick Hunter in the background there. And the second one, of course, is another one of Britai and Dr. Lang. That's right, Dr. Lang, the human protoculture expert, and a nice, beautiful shot of a red Alpha fighter in there, and you can see the SDF-3 right there. You know, they explained that it was built using a lot of Zentradi Zentradi technology, so it looks a little different. And oh my God, it's been a while since I've read this too. Can't even remember that guy's name. Anyway, here's the next one. And then the final one of the original Sentinel series, where basically they figure out a lot of stuff, and yeah, they defeat that's the other thing with the Robotech Sentinels. They meet another main adversary, the Invid Regent. And then there was this. I don't remember very much about this one. The Master's Gambit. This happens before the events of Southern Cross, and I just don't remember anything about this. I think there's a scene with Wolf, Commander Wolf, and Dana Sterling in it. I think they kind of had a relationship or something. That's pretty much all I can remember from that book. And then there's the Southern Cross series. The funny thing is, I'm glad I didn't see very much of the Southern Cross on television, because it's just the way the way her character was on the TV series was a little bit annoying, and you watch the things that she did, and she got away with everything. It just seemed silly. It wasn't very believable. But I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed a lot of the other stuff. A lot of the other character moments in it, and this cover is actually pretty good. Here's the second one. This cover isn't very good. Metal Fire. After they hook up with Zor, who turns out to be a clone of the original Zor. They call him Zor Prime, even though he's not the first Zor, but whatever. And there you go, Final Nightmare, another cool looking cover. And there's Zor Prime in the background there. So, I enjoyed the novelizations a lot more than the TV show. And then here's another one before a really poorly named book, Before the Invid Storm. Obviously this is again. Oh no, maybe this was the one with. Anyway, doesn't matter. It wasn't great. I don't remember much about it. And of course, here's the invasion. The what was it? The yeah, the new generation, not the next generation. That name was already would already become taken. And that's the one where the Invid, under the control of the Invid Regis, finally make it to Earth and mess up the place pretty badly, as if it wasn't worse. And yeah, so there's Scott and Rand, the main characters. That was another decent looking cover. I really love the design of the Invid mechs. Those are really cool. And I actually like the TV series a lot. A lot of tense moments, and some really cool characters. Not named Annie, because I wasn't in any, even then I wasn't an Annie fan, but that's how Annie is supposed to be. So good job. That's not a criticism of the voice actors in any means. And here's the second one, Metamorphosis. I think this one they're like in like Montana, Manitoba, or something like that, in that area. Because the reflex base, or what was it called? Reflex point, is what the expeditionary force called the main Invid hive, was like in, I don't know, Saskatchewan or something. Saskatchewan is a Canadian province. It's part of, in the central western part of the country. Very flat. I'd love to visit there, but yeah, it is pretty flat. No mountains, mostly wheat fields. I've seen pictures; it's quite beautiful. As much as I could be a fan of the Western football teams, I do have a soft spot for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I still think of them as the Green Riders. Ottawa, I still kind of think of you as the Riders too. So anyway, I'm a huge, as you can tell, if you can tell, I don't know, I'm a huge fan of Canadian football. CFL is right now. It's really the only Canadian professional level sports league, because let's face it, hockey is American now. You guys won. You bought it. It started with Wayne Gretzky. It ended with not getting a team in Quebec or Hamilton. So I still have all my good memories of all those good times. I love the sound. Actually, here I am going on about that stuff, and we're talking about Robotech. And here's the last one, decent looking cover. That people don't look that great, but very iconic looking image there. And that was the end of the original Robotech series. That was, it ends with this. Invid basically decide, wow, we made some mistakes here, so let's just take everything and leave. And they do that. And it would be years before we learned what happened afterwards. This one was the last part, basically the last book published part of the wow, my English speaking is good, of the series. And this is like the original. It's got like a little bit shiny, and it's got embossed. It's a pretty cool looking cover, and it talks about, and basically it deals with some of the things they dealt with in the Sentinel series, with what was it, Hayden 4, being like the progenitors of the like the ones who kind of made the Robotech Masters, who as powerful as they were, and it turned out to be a giant planet that transformed and stuff. And so there you go. That's the end of the circle. And now I got all this stuff on the floor. Other stuff. Here. Why don't we just do this here? This is my little model of the Macross STF1. Unfortunately, it's missing a part, but I've got the important part. Everyone knows Daedalus attack. Nothing says anime like punching a enemy starship in the face with an aircraft carrier. And as you notice, I painted it with the color scheme of Macross, of the Macross movie, because I really like that. Although I honestly do prefer the having the aircraft carriers as the side, as being on the side. I do have a lot of, I did buy a lot of models, but I only put together 2 of them. And this is the other one. This is Retai's command ship, Zentradi command ship. It was fairly easy to put together. Even, was that me who wrote that, or was that a sticker? I don't know. Sometimes I used to do stuff like that where I would spend a lot of time to... Anyway, that goes back up there. And yes, I've got my samurai pants on. Let's see. There's some other models here. There's this one here. There we go. Roy Foker's Valkyrie. Let's see. Look inside here. So I did paint some of it up. Not a lot though, and I never got around to putting it together. Just at the time, I think a couple of hobby stores that I used to go to shut down, closed down, so I had nowhere to get all the paint for it. There's the other one, the Defender, a Destroyed Defender, or as it's called in Robotech, Raider 10. Actually, I did put this one mostly together, but I never put any of the didn't put any of the decals on it. So, yep. It's another. That's Roy Foker's Valkyrie in Battleroid or Battleoid form. This is, I think this was Rick Hunter's or Hikaru Chicho's in Gerwalk. And this is, of course, it's a little dusty, as you can see. It's Max's Battleoid form right there. So, okay, so